I'm a whole 6 months into doing this, so I'm also a novice. So what I'm going to show you is the work of a novice. And I didn't do any PowerPoints. I thought the best way was to show you through my courses, show you the mistakes I've made, and also the good things. But why I introduced, or why I was looking for something, was we were running our postgraduate courses without any, they were still in the distance ed mode. We didn't have any real technology activities. We weren't, because we didn't have tutorials, we didn't have any hours allocated for actual teaching. So I went through and I introduced tutorials to every postgraduate course for a start, and then we had to work out how we were going to do it. And nurses are all doing shift work, so it's impossible to get them to commit to a day to have a tutorial. And yeah, if you do that, and I've got a lot of people in the postgrad suite that have done that, and they end up doing basically a lecture for 1 or 2 students. So, you know, looking for different ways of doing things, and TechDem came along right at the right time. And also my PhD was in looking at how nurses engage with with mobile learning, but ended up being digital technology. So I knew they were ready for this. So you should be able to see this now, everyone. Yep, just checking. So I started with the normal welcome video. We're working on how our study desk looks too. So I know it's a bit clunky, but then I did the week 1 tutorial. I did get a few people to that. I discussed with them why I was going to do the Voicethread, and they could all understand the, you know, not being able to be in the same place at the same time. But what I wanted them to do was to have groups and to engage with each other, because in this course I have people that haven't yet gone out into rural areas, as well as people that could have been in the rural areas for 20 years or more. So that valuable knowledge, and they actually have a lot, you know, my job in here is a guide, because those nurses have a lot of different knowledge to what I have, and maybe more knowledge than what I have about working in those areas. So the first activity, tutorial 2, and I've got just a picture here. If you have the picture as your connection, you can't get the analytics. So therefore, I just have the little thing up here, but I have the picture for interest. So I got a lot of buy-in for this one. Don't listen to me. And for that first activity, it was about introducing themselves. And I wanted to know this so I could know how to group them. And I grouped them with people that weren't in areas like theirs, so they could have that different experience. And you can see they started off commenting back to me, just writing, and a fair few of them wrote. And then I got to Kathy, who was...
Hello, my name is Kathy. I'm videoing this from the southwest of Western Australia, which is where I live and work. I thought I'd video it outside. I'm going to try and capture the bush behind me. I live right next to the bush. It's very typical of the area. These small communities are surrounded by bush. So
I just ran that a little bit just so you could see that it really, other students could really get an idea of where that person was, getting an idea of their environment. And yeah, that particular activity was very well done. They all were. I did have, I had a little incentive in the last assignment, but it was only 5 marks out of 50. And that was to participate in the activities and also to comment on the last assignment. So, but we'll get to that. In this tutorial, they had to do activities. Well, they had to go and watch a video, and then they were put in their groups by this stage. So unfortunately, I had a huge dropout rate, which a lot of nurses realised that taking on study during these times was a bit difficult. But they were in groups of at least 2 or 3, and one person had to comment on what their discussions were in the tutorial. So the idea was that they would get together in those small groups and discuss the tutorial activity. And in that time, they would discuss the differences between their places where they reside. And the mid-semester, I think it was 2.5 or something I got for my satisfaction, which was pretty low. But at that stage, they didn't like working in a team, and they didn't see why a postgraduate nurse would have to work in a team. So I will modify things around that, but I haven't quite figured yet how to keep this interaction that was forced, but allow them not to have that, we've got to get together every week. So, I might still keep them in the teams, but say you've got to have these tutorials done by a certain time, because I think that was causing a bit of stress that they had to do it each week, and they're busy, and so they might be better off to do it. They might have a day they can get together and do a couple of tutorials. I'm not quite sure yet. The final assessment, and I'll just show you down here, was a group presentation, and it was a whole module, and it was about primary health care. And to teach primary health care in such a small time is nearly impossible. So I got them each to present on a different disease, and as part of their marks, they all had to go in and view the presentation and make a comment, which everyone did. So, even 5 marks out of 50 is something that's a good incentive. So that was my first attempt. And during that, they came out, Voicethread came out with a system where you can get them to do their assignments in Voicethread, so it wouldn't be as clunky as how I did it. And as I said, I was learning on the way through. This is a course that I've put it in this year, this semester rather. It's a course where they notoriously do not interact at all. There's only 8 students. And in the first tutorial, which I've learned since, you've got to have a good background, not a dodgy background like that one. But in the first tutorial, I had really good uptake, and they were doing really well. And the tutor was giving them really good feedback. And then, so that I had 100% uptake, all 8 students were participating. The tutor that I had went off sick for a little while, and she was going online, but she was quite intermittent with it. So a big learning for me was she went from providing so much input because she knew she had to, she had 3 hours per tutorial to provide feedback for these students. But then when she got sick and they weren't getting that feedback, they dropped off. So it's something that you really have to put in as much effort as you would for a normal tutorial. This is just the start of the tutorial process. So I also introduced it into a policy course, and it's been very good. The feedback I won't go into the tutorials, they're very much the same, but you can see that I've got them down here. The feedback on them was very good, that it helped them understand the material. It's a course I've just taken over this semester and needs to be rewritten, but I'll be using it, I think, next semester to get them to try out. We're going to get them to do it stage by stage, writing or evaluating policy, So we'll do a stage and then they can do the stage, and I think the same stage, and I think the Voicethread will be a really good way of them relating back to us, putting up of what they think. In the beginning of this, I got them to discuss their policy, so I could make sure that they were putting up that they were going to review a policy and not a procedure. So, and I did notice in this, my highest scoring student attended all the tutorials, but that, you know, could be the Voicethread, could be the, you know, just she's a really good student. Probably a bit of both. Yeah, and that's it basically. I could have forgotten things. Oh, I found in the course that I did last semester that it actually improved their results. And it wasn't just the assessment I did. When I was talking to the students, they were more knowledgeable than they were in the previous year. My feedback ended up being 4.5. So I got very good feedback at the end of semester. They loved it. And this semester, they've loved the Voicethread as well, as I've said. One of my other subjects, a project course, I'm going to put Voicethread into that as a for tutorials that they can do if they want to. So it's just a way of providing extra material and them being able to get the tutoring that they need from, you know, the material that they also need. So it's a very, it should be a very personalised approach, I'm hoping. So yeah, I hope that's helped. As I said, one novice to other novices.